Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of College Blitz. I'm Russ Morgan here with my man Q. Q, we were talking quarter way through the season. We had a fucking awesome week last week.
Yeah.
Great games. How we doing going into week 4?
All is good, bro. All is good, man. Third of the way through the season, which is crazy. It's almost October, which is crazy. But it's been man. You're starting to. You guys aren't getting any change of weather in Bradenton. I know.
Not mid-October, and it'll start getting in like November, December. Start getting in like the 60s, maybe once in a while. That's like our change, which I'll take. People all bundled up. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm wearing shorts. Yeah. I'm happy, but definitely not too much. Can't really complain.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna get the change up here in the Metro Atlanta area for sure. The evenings are already, a little cool, right? Mornings, right? We've had some mornings in the upper 50s, which, man, it's been a long time since I've said I'm ready for cooler weather. Anybody who knows me knows I was born and raised in Miami, knows I'm very comfortable in the heat. I don't know if it's an age thing, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know, just because I work, in the elements, but man, this year in Georgia, it has been, this summer, I should say, it has been absolutely miserably hot. And again, I know I'm not breaking any news to anybody who lives in Florida, especially South Florida. But man, it's just been miserable. It's been super hot. I remember we went something like over 20 days in the 90s and everything like that. And I'm ready for a little bit of a change. And so starting to feel it in the air, just a little bit. So I'm ready for that.
Obviously, you're from Florida. We won't get. If we get mid 60s and it's fit, the old people around here in Florida will be all bundled up. Most people will. I'm like, I'm cool with it. I'm loving life. Maybe I can throw a light jacket on, just a little brief. But on my first 2 summers here, I moved to Florida in the end of May, so it was like right in the summer season, and it was hot.
That's miserable. That's what. April, like March, it's warm. April, end of May is
I would take, like October till like mid-April. I want, because it's not like that hot, Starts getting May. I'm like, yeah, fuck. Now it's June. Excuse my language. But I mean, if I can make it through summer in Florida, I've been at both extremes. Summer in Florida, winter in North Dakota.
Ooh. No, I'm not cut out. I'm not cut out for a North Dakota winter. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
So my last semester there, you kind of obviously you can't get used to anything below 10. It just is cold. Anything below 0 is just cold. There's no difference. You can't really tell. You're just freezing. But like after a while, your blood really thickens up. So I remember it was like 35 in November, and I'm walking to class with like basketball shorts on and the t-shirt. Like, honestly, too bad, 40 degree, but like I got back to California in like 2 weeks, man. I'm like, God, it's cold. Your blood, thins up so quick.
Yeah, man. That later on in the season, I'll start to, later on in the winter season, again, it's an acclimation process, right? So I'll wear a little bit less, right? I think early on, it first hits and you're bundled up and everything like that. Again, man, I'm never going to get used to the cold. I enjoy the cold when I get to go snowboarding. I go out west, try to get out there at least once, during the season. We're planning on getting out there, twice so far. We've got planned to go out there during the winter, but huge fan of snowboarding. That's when I enjoy the snow.
The Athletics beat the Red Sox, so that's pretty big for me.
Oh, really? In the AL West race or in the AL East race or in the wild card?
The wild card. I think the AL East is out of sight right now because they don't have head-to-head, but they're right
Toronto's winning the AL East, right?
Toronto's the best record in the AL.
Does Milwaukee still have the best record in the NL?
Yeah, by 2 games.
Okay.
Or I guess 3 now.
Yeah.
I'm with like my dad talking this, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm 2.5 games up." I'm like, "No, look what you got in the loss column. You're like,
yeah,
I got 59 losses. They got 62. I'm like, what the hell is a half game? Like at the end of the day, in baseball, everybody's gonna play 162 games, and the only one that's gonna affect that is the loss column. So I'm like, what's 2.5 game? What's half a game? That's just like, I'm like, they're 3 games up right now. So like Toronto's three games up on the Yankees, but they got head to head. Yankees could be 3 up on Boston, which will be nice because I don't want to have to play Boston in Boston, which might not happen.
Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, man. Like we were talking about, man. Week 4 is here, right?
Week 4, but we're gonna have there's a few times in sports that are unbelievable times, and that's when you got NBA ramping up, and you got March Madness, and that's when then October hits. You have college football, you have NFL going, and you got MLB postseason. It is sports galore. There's never a moment where you don't have a game on. It's amazing. Exactly. I love it.
Yeah. That is. It's a crazy time of the year, man. When all those are going on at the same time.
And I think I'm not an NHL guy, but I think NHL's starts around that time in October too.
Yeah, it's the very beginning of October. I think it's when it starts, somewhere like October, maybe second week in October. I think somewhere around there.
Are you a Panthers guy or just kind of?
Yeah. I'm a Panthers fan. I mean, I'm not a a live and die, with every game. I think I'm a Heat fan. I'm a Panthers fan. Obviously, being from Miami. The thing is, it's so unlike football in that, with so many games, right? You're talking about 82. I think the NHL is playing 82 games now. Obviously, the NBA is 82 games. And so, for me, when it comes to everything in relation to the football calendar, basketball for me doesn't start till, after the Super Bowl, basically, right? By and large. And at that point, you're near the All-Star break in basketball, right? And so to me, that's kind of a good starting point for me. Like the beginning of the season, it's like, whatever. But again, the end of football, especially the end of the NFL season, because it runs later, that ends, and then with no football on, I just kind of naturally just transition to basketball, because at that point, again, there's really nothing else on. But for me, I follow the NBA, but I definitely don't get really ramped up for the NBA till after, the All-Star break, and then of course, playoff season. So,
well, we're talking week 4. Throw out some little. I don't know if you saw a little quick couple firing news. I don't know the Virginia Tech guy's name. Got fired.
Brent Pry
got fired, which surprise. The funny one I like, and it's not funny, he got fired, is Deshaun Foster, UCLA was a hell of a running back. UCLA gets fired.
He's a bad dude.
I don't know if you saw the fake post where it was like a picture of Nico's dad, and he's like, he's not playing this year unless Big Nick is the coach. And then there's something I saw. Oh, that was hilarious. Everybody's like AI. I'm like, yeah, obviously, but he would do something like that.
Well, why do people have to be that way, man?
Yeah,
you gotta love the internet, man. Because I figured there would be memes like that. Like that's just
the best one I saw is Nico could still transfer this year because his coach
now the 30-day window open.
30-day window opens for him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he want to be stuck at UCLA where they have like not even 10,000 people in the stadium?
Mm-hmm. Listen, if anybody and for anybody who ever watches this and thinks, oh man, you're an ass for look, a Division I college football coach losing their job is different than you and me losing our job, right? Than somebody in retail and right, whatever. These guys, they're paid out, obviously millions of dollars to leave their position, right? These guys very much land on their feet right now. Maybe for somebody like Deshaun Foster, who's an alum, who obviously was a star player at UCLA and the whole deal. It might hit a little bit different in terms of like the pride based on the fact that, again, you played there and everything like that. But at the end of the day, man, these guys were giving millions of dollars to basically to walk away, right? Jimbo Fisher a couple of years ago was fired, was given like $70 million, to walk away, so on and so forth. And so, you see it around sports all the time. Guys lose their jobs, get a ton of money to walk away. So, for anybody who is going to say, oh my God, you're laughing at. No, what I'm laughing at is the fact that anybody at UCLA looked at Deshaun Foster as a viable candidate for that job. I mean, did you see his opening press conference? Like at Big Ten Media Days? I mean, come on. Like you're going to tell me that a guy like that was ready to take that position, to be the head coach of a major college football program? I mean, come on.
And a rebuild, though. I mean, they need a big image shifter. But it's also like, if I'm going into my job as a regular employee and I'm performing like that, my boss is going to either, fire me and be like, hey, you're not performing the standards that you don't meet the standards, you're fired. Because he's in the public eye. But I'm like, any job, I'm like, we have standards. He didn't meet the standards. Yes, that press conference he didn't even know what conference he was in. But, I mean, I think there is UCLA has some issues. The stadium is way out of the way. I mean, the Rose Bowl is gorgeous. I love the Rose Bowl, but it is.
I want to visit it.
It's deep in Pasadena. UCLA's campus is in Westwood. Try to get from Westwood to Pasadena is a trek. It's a trek. How far is that? I'd probably say maybe about 10 miles. Maybe, okay. But we're talking traffic.
But it's LA, so 10 miles might as. 10 miles in LA is 50 somewhere else, right?
I did my house to Encino for a showcase, which was 28 miles. At 6:30 in the morning, it took me 45 minutes to an hour. I left at 2:30 in the afternoon to go back home. Took me 2.5 hours to get home.
Yeah, I've always heard, man. I've been to California multiple times. Never been to LA. I don't know the area. I've always, I've obviously always heard what the traffic is like, and obviously that's, anybody. If you don't know anything about California, especially Southern California, you know that the traffic is miserable. Everybody knows.
The best is they show like the holidays, like the weather helicopter, the holidays of like the 405. And it looks just like a Christmas tree because there's just lights and
it's all red one way and all white the other way, right? You see tail lights and then headlights, and it's a solid stream. I mean, it looks like a stream. It looks like the stream of Christmas lights, right? It's literally one solid line of red.
It's always one solid line of white. And the picture's always in the same spot. It's always going past.
It's that bend. It's that bend that they always show.
It's always going past Staples Center. Or excuse me, Crypto.com arena.
Crypto.com now, yeah.
It's the worst name ever.
Staples, man. It's hard to not call it Staples, right? I mean, if you wouldn't have said the name to it, I would have been like, yeah, where the Lakers play, Staples. I just didn't even remember that it was called Crypto.com. Right?
It's bizarre. But we got week 4. But week 3 was phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean. And obviously, we got to kick it off right off the bat. We highlighted this game. Georgia Tech taking down Clemson. What was that final? Was it 24-21?
There you go. Remember, right before we came off, I said, hold on.
Yeah, I was like, dude, we're running up on time, but I was glad you're just like, hey, we got to go. I mean, you got Haynes King who went past for 211. So that's a very respectable game for Haynes King. You got 103 on the ground from Haynes King. who was the leading rusher, Brian Westcoast or Westco Jr., 126 passing receiving yards. And like we talked a little bit Saturday, it's like, what's going on with Clemson? Either they're not that good, or everybody goes Dabo and just over evaluated Clemson this year because of the NFL talent they have on that roster. What's going on? I mean, they struggle against Troy too in that first half.
This is the thing, and obviously we're never going to do away with preseason rankings, right? But this is one of the reasons why the talk has ramped up some, with preseason rankings, is specifically because of stuff like this, right? If you looked at the preseason vote in terms of like the media vote for the ACC, and you looked at the all ACC teams and everything, Clemson, literally all the teams in the ACC, I think, it's 3 teams, right? Then they do, first, second, and third team, if I'm not mistaken. But literally, I mean, they dominated. They essentially had like over half of the players on the 3 teams. And so now you're sitting there and you're wondering, oh man, how come that's not translating to, to the results on the field, right? And I think the very simple answer is the line of scrimmage, right? I think these guys who are being, Peter Woods, right? And who's the other, TJ Parker? Is that his name? TJ Parker, right? And then Peter Woods and everything like that. Guys on the D line and everything. These guys are, oh my God, they're going to be, top 10 picks in the NFL draft and everything. It's like, oh, okay, right? I mean, they're 5-star, these guys are 5-star recruits, and we're because everything is projection at the end of the day, right? But then when you're looking at, having to get on the field, and prove it, right? That's what has to happen, right? And so I don't know if these guys are reading the press clippings, or if they're they're listening to podcasts, or if they're getting on Twitter.
If someone wants to listen to the podcast, you're more than welcome.
100%, yeah. Come on over, man. If you want to ever join, man, we'll bring you on 1,000%. But that's the dangerous part of, and I'm sure every coach, hates that, right? And it's a famous Nick Saban quote goes, that's the rat poison that Nick Saban so famously, would refer to, right? It's that stuff that gets put out there. And listen, it's the media has a job to do, right? They have to put out, material and content, to get viewers and the whole deal. And that's part of it, right? The preseason, you get late into July, right? Beginning of August, right? It's been, at that point, 6 months or more since there's been football on, and people are craving everything, right? You're putting material out there because, people are going to consume it, right? And so reading some of this, material and some of the stuff people are putting out, it was like, so you're telling me that Clemson is the only team in the ACC that's got talent? You're telling me that Clemson is like they're unbeatable, essentially, is what you're telling me? And then you watch them play, and again, that's really nobody knows anything, right? Again, at best you're projecting, right? Because you watch them play and you're going, how is it that these guys had over half of the players on the 3 all ACC preseason teams, right? And then again, you focus on the line of scrimmage, and they're overrated on the line of scrimmage, And I said it about Cade Klubnik before the season started. Cade Klubnik is overrated. He's overrated. I said that from the jump. I've been saying it from the jump. If you look at what they were last year, he's a guy who feasted on the cream puffs and the tomato cans. And anytime they played somebody good, he was not good. Right, you look at the 3 games they lost, and he was terrible in the 3 games they lost. Right, and really good in the other games, which again their schedule was not difficult. Right, and so that's again one of the many things that perplexed me about the projection for Clemson coming into 25 was like this aura of invincibility, like and then you get into okay, the only other team really that really compares to them talent wise is Miami, or why is anybody not really talking about Miami? Why is everybody basically, pooping, on Carson Beck? Oh, he's not gonna, Klubnik is better. And the whole deal was like, listen, man, for my money, before they ever played a down of football this year, I would have taken Carson Beck 7 days out of the week and twice on Sunday over Cade Klubnik. And it's just being proven this year. So again, man, like just the favoritism and the this love affair with Clemson and what it is that they were bringing back and everything like that. I was just always amazed by it because again, were they are they really good at receiver? Yeah, they're good at receiver, but the running backs were a question. I thought the O-line, was getting way too much credit. Did they have some NFL talent on the D-line? Yeah, they've got good linebackers, right? Sammy Brown, Wade Woodaz, right? I mean, you got some good DBs and everything. But, again, was the depth there, questionable, right? Is this elite coaching that they want to make us believe is there? Is it really there? Obviously, questionable. Garrett Riley was the hot OC, and when he landed at Clemson, everybody was celebrating it, and it was like, oh my God, they're gonna, fill in the blank. Well, where's that been? Right, you're down. Was it 17-0 to Troy at halftime? And so if you're Clemson playing at home, should you be down to Troy at halftime under any circumstances? Absolutely not. Right. And so, it just culminated now into going to Georgia Tech, like we talked about. And it was they were just ripe for the picking. A team like Georgia Tech who plays good defense, runs the ball, right? Time of possession tends to favor them. And it lined up, and they lost. But I wasn't remotely surprised by it. Not at all.
I mean, the first thing we saw Clemson going to LSU is they're off. Yes, the running game is not there. You lose Will Shipley the year before. You lose Phil Maffa. Was not there. But you watch them against LSU on the offensive side. Yes, they got good receivers. West Coast Junior's solid receiver.
Yeah,
but Ludwig's not getting enough time to make those reads because the offensive line struggles. Then you turn to the defense. I mean, I'm looking at who leads the team in total tackles. That's Rodden Hampton, a DB, has the most tackles on the team.
That's a bad sign. If you know football,
you want your DB to have the most tackles right now, who leads the team in tackles right now? That's not a good sign. That means the guys up front aren't getting to eat, and they're just gashing. And this is a Clemson team that's got some serious NFL talent up on that front seven. And first-round talent, high first-round talent.
5-star talent. Sammy Brown was the #1 linebacker in the country a couple years ago, right? Wade Woodaz is a really, really good linebacker, right? I mean, you've got talent. Like the talent on paper is there, and again, and we talked about it in our ACC preview, right? Who did they land at DC, right? They stole, what's his face, from Penn State.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they went and took Penn State's defensive coordinator. Everybody was like, oh, man, Dabo, what a move. The same thing with Garrett Riley when they landed him, right? It was like, oh, man, Dabo, he doesn't need a transfer portal. Dabo is and listen, I'm not taking anything away from Dabo, right? Played for 2 national titles, or he's won 2 national titles, right? Beat Nick Saban in both games, which not many people can say, right? As made the playoffs. They won the ACC, I think 8 out of the last 10 years, right? And made the playoffs 7 out of the last 8. Like, you can't argue with what Dabo has done. Right, Clemson has been the class of the ACC for the better part of the last, 15 years or so. Ton of NFL talent, right? The guy recruits his ass off, the whole deal, right? They develop talent there. I'm not at all, remotely, poo-pooing, his resume, and which he so eloquently, alluded to the other day when he was getting questions about them starting 1 and 2, which is pretty funny. But this is a different season. This is a different season, and I think that the media in on all levels, but I think I see it more in college football, really gets lazy about their takes and putting Clemson in their own tier, essentially above everybody, not giving anybody else a chance, was a perfect example of a very, very lazy take. People were not doing homework, in my opinion. People were not doing any research on the talent in the ACC. Essentially, everybody just went, hey, you know what? Clemson is the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're they're the closest thing to an SEC team, and the Big Ten and the SEC want Clemson. Now, whatever. And they just forgot that anybody else in the ACC played football in 2025.
I'm with you. I don't think we got to take away anything what we're saying. Take away anything what Georgia Tech did, but what Brett Key's got going there in Atlanta with that team. They come in. Yes, they're not the highly, all 5-star guys, but they're just scrappy. They find a way to get it done. Yes, you don't have a quarterback who's airing it out for 290 plus. If he gets 211 like he did against Clemson, that's a huge win. But I mean, Georgia Tech is definitely and we've said it here, and you've said it a lot. Georgia Tech's a team you got to watch. They're the way Brett Key's got and that staff has their team going. They don't overlook any opponent. They just play clean football, and it's the talent over fundamentals, and they play a clean game. The defense comes ready. You got a veteran quarterback. It's not the most sexiest game you're watching in the world, but at the end of the day, they win the game. That's all that really matters. You get the W in the stat line.
It's what we were saying about them, right? We did the ACC preview. We mentioned that we're still saying it now, a month into the season. They're a team that you always have to be wary of, right? They don't play an exciting brand of offense. Right, you look at they lost their number one receiver, who ended up being the number one receiver in the transfer portal, ends up at Auburn, right, and Eric Singleton, right. So you think of what that loss, possibly meant, and go, man, that offense could look different. The thing is that they're not a wide receiver, feature type of offense, right? They're a run-based offense, right? They play action, right? Haynes King isn't a guy who airs it out or anything, right? So the loss ends up not being as big, as maybe people thought, it might be leading into the season, right? You have a good O-line. You have a guy where he ran for over 100 yards the other day against Clemson, right? Threw for a little over 200, right? So a dual threat guy. They run the ball with him, right? They control clock and they play good defense. They're a team that's disciplined, right? They don't beat themselves with penalties, right? They don't turn the ball over. And that's a team that always has a chance to win the game. And add to that there is talent on the team. That's the other thing, right? It's not just one of these teams like, oh, they're talentless, or they just have, 55, upperclassmen or whatever, which kind of ends up happening sometimes. You look around the country and TCU is a perfect example, right? That, they made a deep run and there's like 1 million upperclassmen, right? So, that tends to happen, right? You get some of these teams who are really, really, top heavy in terms of upperclassmen. You have, a bunch of adults, right? Essentially, playing on your team. They end up having a good season, right? And make a deep run and win a New Year's Six, bowl game or whatever. And so again, you tend to see it a lot, but, Georgia Tech isn't getting by, under those circumstances. There is talent on the team, right? They've, Brent Key, they brought in some good recruiting classes, right? Since he's been there. They've hit the transfer portal and brought in some guys, and so this is a Georgia Tech team that at least in 2025, they're a team you have to respect and a team you can't sleep on, and I wouldn't be remotely shocked if they're in Charlotte, come December 6th for the ACC title game.
Definitely. Well, I mean, we had some great games, and obviously this game might hit home for you. Georgia beats Tennessee 44-41. Obviously the kicker, I don't know if you saw what the kicker from Tennessee did. He literally, first thing he did, he went, talked to the media. He literally apologized to the fan base for missing that kick. He's like, hey, I'm going to be at Neyland Stadium tomorrow practicing my kicks. You can come if you want and watch me kick, but I'm going to be out there practicing. He's like, I own my failures. I missed the kick, but I'm gonna do better. If you want to say something to me, I'm gonna wear it. But I was like, hey, respect. The guy was like, hey, I missed the kick. I know that's my job, but he wasn't, running and hiding. He's like, hey, I'm gonna be a kneeling kicking. Apparently, 6 people showed up too to watch him kick.
I honestly had not heard that. I had not remotely even caught wind of that.
This
You know,
was like I saw
we'll,
this on Wednesday.
wow. Yeah,
Um,
listen, I definitely think that is super stand up with him. I don't know. I don't remember the kicker's name. Do you know it? You know the kicker's name?
I got it right here. I'm gonna look
But dude, super stand up with him. That's something that obviously is really really rare. That's not anything that I think I've ever seen. You know, but tells you, you know, the guy, you know what he's made of, right? That's a character guy, right? That's a guy with, you know, that was raised the right way. You know, a guy who meets
I
things
think
head on.
it's Max Gilbert.
There you go, Max Hill, man. Hats off to him, man. Because again, most kickers, you know, would not, you know, remotely offer that to anybody, right?
No, it was like he went out to the media. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't do my job. I missed it." He's like, I'm gonna be practicing. Go out and show out. You want to rip into me, fine, but I'm gonna be out there practicing,
Yeah.
show up. I'm
Yeah,
like, dude,
that's going to endear you. That's going to for sure endear you to, you know, to your teammates, right?
And he's like, hey, and I get it. You gotta kind of accept your successes and accept the failure too. He failed. He missed the kick,
Yeah.
and too bad he buried the one in overtime. But I mean, that's how it goes. But on the game, I know you weren't probably happy. Gunnar Stockton looked good.
Hey, listen, and that's what I was going to say. Look, I don't have, and right, another popular, you know, topic of conversation for us in the off season, and especially, you know, for me on my end, was this narrative, you know, about Gunnar Stockton, you know, being an upgrade over Carson Beck, which I simply, and I still don't believe he is. Right now, was I impressed with the way he played? 100%, for two reasons. One, it was his first road start, right, at a tough place to play in a game that you can make the argument Tennessee gave away. I think Tennessee should have won that game, right? If you're watching, if you watched it and you saw the way the game went, you know, I think it's a game that most people would agree that Tennessee gave away, right? At least most people without a dog in the fight, right? Now, if you're a Georgia fan, maybe you think differently, and that's fine. But if you don't have a dog in the fight, I think you could probably agree that Tennessee gave that game, right? So I look at that, but then I also look at the fact that, you know, Gunnar Stockton had looked really pedestrian, you know, coming into that game, right? The offense had looked very pedestrian, right? We talked about, you know, they were averaging something like 5 yards, you know, per attempt, you know, against bad teams, right? And so to me, I just simply wondered what that was going to look like against a team like Tennessee, you know, on the road, right? His first road start and everything like that. And so, dude, I was very impressed with what Gunnar Stockton did.
He was 23 for 31, 304 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 for 38 on the ground, and that. I mean, the running game, which was a problem last year for Georgia. I mean, yes, you get Gunnar Stockton there; he's going to give you more in the running game. But you get Nate Frazier, 14 for 73. I mean, the defense is another story because they give up 41 points. But I 100% agree. Tennessee had that kind of game, and they kind of took the foot off the pedal. Joey Aguilar, I mean, yes, fifth-year senior. He might not be a SEC quarterback. I mean, he's there.
He didn't play terrible. Yeah, he didn't play bad, though.
He played good. He's 23 for 36, 371 yards, 4 a couple bad picks.
Yeah. The turnovers, the turnovers definitely you want to get back, right? I think he had some good moments, but then at the same time, you're looking at it, and you're going, man, you know, in a game that close, dude. I mean, the turnovers just
there's some times where the offense looked unbelievable, especially right off the bat. But then there's some times where the offense looked really stagnant, and that's where I see
second half.
That's where you kind of see. I'm like, okay, this he's a grinder. I mean, all of them for him. If you hear Joey Aguilar's story of how he got there to where he is amazing for a guy not to give up and get to UCLA and then get to Tennessee. But there's probably a reason he was had to do that. He's not. I mean, but the offense looked very stagnant. A lot of 3 and outs there where they could have got a bigger lead going. It could have been 28 points there instead of 21 going into halftime. But yeah, Gunnar Stockton, I was impressed. The defense on the other side for Georgia is another question, giving up 41 points to Tennessee. And you got Alabama in a couple weeks, who was another team that looked good. Who Ty Simpson looked really good against Wisconsin. But I mean, is Gunnar Stockton? I went to Tennessee. Defense isn't usually what Tennessee and a Josh Heupel hangs their hat on. If we're being honest, what's going to happen when they go up and play an Alabama defense, or even I mean, you got Alabama, then you play Auburn, then you got Ole Miss, but I think he gives them some hope, not just the projectable hope, and he's better than Carson Beck, which is just, them being, good. Be optimistic, fine. But, I mean, is he a better quarter than Carson Beck? And maybe ends up better. Who knows, But I think the signs of him, the way he played this game, gives you a little hope, besides him having a subpar, not playing great against 2 lower level competition.
Yeah. Again, I think the questions were there, and rightfully so, right? I think, again, first time starting, right? Start off with 2, cupcakes, right? With Marshall and Austin P, right? And so obviously nobody's going to be impressed by whatever you do against them, right? I mean, and so, again, that was my question, right? How are you going to look, first road start, at Tennessee? He answered the call, right? The defense was a different issue, right? And I think, hats off to Tennessee for doing what they did on offense, right? But you also saw where, the Georgia defense buckled down in the second half. That's what you get with a guy like, Kirby Smart. That's what you get with a guy like Glenn Schumann. They made the adjustments, right? Joey Aguilar, unfortunately, turned the ball over a couple times, right? You miss a big kick, but those are those plays that in a game like that matter so much, right? I mean, you can't turn the ball over. You can't miss, a kick from, again, it wasn't a 65-yarder or anything like that. And so, again, man, you have to take those opportunities. When you're a team like Tennessee, you got to take advantage of the opportunity, and if you don't, then, it's going to come back to bite you. And that's exactly what happened. They're going to look back and really, really regret letting that opportunity slip, man, because, again, they had that game in hand. They had it in hand, and they let it get away.
But, I mean, Georgia going forward, I think there's some hope. Still an insane schedule.
Yeah, the schedule's tough. So Gunner's going to have to prove it, again, right? But I think it's a good start for him, though. If you're looking at, hey, listen, something to hang your hat on, this is a hell of a way to to really introduce yourself to everybody else at the schedule and go, hey, here I am. So, again, schedule gets tougher, but you have to like what you saw from him.
You have to hats off to what Gunnar Stockton first true road start. There, Neyland's a nasty environment. Those Vols faithful are passionate, and they're going to show up. And there's a lot of that checker's going to be going crazy. That's a tough environment. Before we get into the Miami game and those 2 great night games we had, Vanderbilt beats South Carolina 31-7. Quickly, you think Clark Lee's finally got something going there in Nashville? Because, I mean, if I think of Vanderbilt, and I'm a baseball guy, so I love college baseball. I think college baseball and their college baseball program, Tim Corbin is phenomenal. A lot of national titles. But we've seen this in the recent year. They're taking down some ranked teams. They took down Alabama last year. You think Clark Lee's finally got something going, cooking there in Nashville?
It's hard. It's hard to say no, right? I mean, look at what they've done. They're kind of like the little engine that could, right? I mean, if you're looking at, what they are in relation to the rest of the SEC, it's difficult to get into Vanderbilt, right? It's the only school really you can say that about in the SEC, right? There's kind of that running joke. It's like, yeah, dude, it's the SEC. I mean, everybody gets into those schools, right? I mean, it's not difficult to get into, just about every one of those schools. Right? And so there's state schools, big schools, right? Easy to get into, right? So Vanderbilt is the only one, right? A very small school, private school, high academic standards and the whole deal. So, traditionally those are schools that are difficult to, to win at and everything. But you're looking at what Clark Lee's building over there, man. You gotta be impressed. They didn't beat, because you said they beat them. You forgot they beat the brakes off them. Right. And so I was about to say, I get Lenore Sellers, right? He got knocked out of the game and the whole deal. Yes, 100%. But based on what I know about college football, and when you look at those rosters, even without Lenore Sellers, you could not have convinced me that Vanderbilt was going to win that game by 24 points, and South Carolina only scoring 7. Right? I mean, listen, that was impressive no matter how you want to break it down. It was an impressive win, and I think you have to look at now, with this team, you really have to start paying attention to them in terms of, firstly, you have to respect them when you're on their schedule. If you didn't have to already, right? They beat Alabama last year, right? So you should have already been respecting them if you saw them on your schedule. But then now on top of that, right, you look at what they did to South Carolina, the way they won that game, right? Diego Pavia, right? Really good quarterback. Obviously, this guy's like, 34 years old now. They got, he's been around for a minute, right? Got the extra year and, and the whole deal. So, hey, good for him, man. Not mad at it. Knock yourself out, brother. I can't remember the tight end's name, a really, really good tight end, right? And they play good defense and the whole deal. And so, again, man, you got to pay attention to these guys, man. It's just one more good team in the SEC. When you're looking at it, right, traditionally, what used to be the East, right? We know there's no divisions anymore. But, in the old East, right, where you have Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, schools like that. I mean, you got to start paying attention to Vanderbilt, man. I mean, again, it's a big win against a team that was that a lot of people thought should have been in the playoff last year. Now you fast forward to 25. You got Lenore Sellers being spoken about, as a possible top 10 pick. South Carolina as a possible, college football playoff team. So no matter how you slice it, no matter who was in the game or not in the game, huge win for Vanderbilt the other day.
And 100% Vanderbilt, super tough school to get into. Super small, beautiful campus. Not as much as Belmont, Liberty, or Lipscomb's nicer. Lipscomb's nicer, but they don't have a football program. But I will say, for anybody who wants to go to Vanderbilt, you were just in Nashville. I lived in Nashville. Some beautiful women in Nashville. I will say.
Yes, there are.
And
yes, there are, my friend.
So I mean, just throwing it out there for all the younger kids. There's some beautiful women in Nashville.
Yes,
and
there
you
are.
got a lot of stuff going on, but
there is no shortage. You got to be careful, bro. When you're on Broadway, you got to be careful.
You got to be careful. That's for sure.
My Lord,
because it also hurts your wallet.
100%. Yeah, you got to find. You got to get away from any establishment with an artist name on it. You got to be careful because that's when you're gonna get hit over the head. You gotta get off Broadway, man. You gotta go to Printers.
Midtown is Nashville's in Midtown.
Okay,
that's where it is.
You get off a little, go to Printers Alley, right? A little bit,
Yeah, Printers Out. That's like blues.
Yeah. Music Row has a couple of good places, right? So you gotta get away from Broadway if you want to save some cash.
I bet you Jason Aldean's bar right there.
Yeah.
Just like Whiplash.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%.
But I mean, we had some great games at night. Obviously, we had some great games at night, and I will say, in close games like that come down, we had in South Bend that usually come down to a last-second field goal. The kicker usually gets the death threats. But I don't think that's the case right now in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah. But it didn't cost them a ranking, right? Kind of shit is that? They're 0-2 and they're ranked. Like, what the hell? The AP. I saw a video today. I should have sent it to you. I saw it on Twitter, and this guy was like, breaking down, and I don't know. I guess
was it a Barstool guy?
the Barstool guy breaking down, you know, the mockery of like the voting. And did you see it?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, good, dude. I did not realize like what a joke they've made the AP. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, there was somebody who voted South Carolina higher this week after they got beat down than he had them last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like, you know, that's just as one of the examples, right? And then having Notre Dame ranked after being 0-2, right? It's like, come on, man. Like, listen, I get they've lost to good teams, but they're 0-2. Like, how are they ranked? Like, would any other team in the country be ranked after being 0-2?
Is there any 0-2 team in the top 25 of the AP right now? That would be a no.
Well, Notre Dame is ranked in one of the polls.
I
think it was
the only 0-2 team who's ranked
exactly.
in the AP.
Yeah, if there wasn't a damn shamrock next to their name, you know, would they be ranked? Like, no, it's such BS. That is such BS.
I mean, you lose 41-40. I mean, Texas A&M didn't really. I mean, do I think they'll do much in the SEC? I don't know.
Hey, A&M is going to have something to say in the SEC, man. A&M is going to have something to say in the SEC. I'm telling you. Like,
what's their quarterback's name again?
It is. I'm about to say Kevin Jones.
I'm sorry, A&M's not even in the top 25 after that win.
No, yeah, they are. They're like 16, 17.
Oh, they're 10. Excuse me.
Are they 10th now?
Yeah. Marcel Reed.
There you go.
He's from Nashville.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, dude, Marcel Reese can play, man. Marcel Reese can play.
Reed.
Reed, I'm sorry. Marcel Reed. Yeah, Marcel Reed can play.
That happens all the time. But
he can play.
I lived right by the school he went to. And it was like a college. It was like a prep school, like a college campus. And the football field was, I mean, every athletic field was beautiful. They got some really good ones in that area. I know Franklin's got like Battleground, which is really, I mean, like some really nice ones. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, people. It's the name, and I know people every year. It's why does Alabama get so much love? The Alabama bias. But moving on to the
consistency. Right, yeah, obviously Nick Saban having been there obviously helps and everything. But I mean, they're consistent, man. I mean, they recruit well. They hit the transfer portal well. They're always good. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, you can't. You know, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to really push back on. You know, anytime you say, okay, Alabama's going to be good. Well, yeah, you're probably not going to be wrong when you give that assessment. So,
moving on to a nice SEC battle. Number 3 LSU beats Florida 2010, and DJ Lagway throws for 5 picks. If I'm correct, I think he had 5.
He threw 5 picks.
1 touchdown, 5. Do you think this is kind of the nail after the terrible loss to USF, who just got the brakes beat off them by Miami, and not just losing to USF, you lose in Gainesville. And then he gives DJ Lagway's 5 picks. I think this might be a nail in the coffin for Napier. I don't know if you saw the stat that if Napier has to win 28 straight games to get the same winning percentage that Dan Mullen had when he got fired at Florida.
That's a tough one because we know that's not going to happen, right? It's always interesting to me, man, when people make, you know, changes, right, at the head coaching position, right? We talked about UCLA earlier, right? You remember who their head coach was before Deshaun Foster? Who was their head coach before Deshaun Foster?
It wasn't Chip.
It was Chip.
It was Chip.
It was Chip, right? And people say, right? People say, oh, he resigned. Well, he resigned because they were giving him shit, right? Like they weren't getting along, and he just decided to leave. He decided to just leave and go become the OC. He resigned, right? But I think it was essentially in lieu of termination, right? There were reports out there that, you know, that he was going to get the axe, and it's like it's always interesting to me, man, when you talk about, I remember years ago, remember Bo Pelini, man. Bo Pelini was at Nebraska, kind of the same deal, right? He had won 9 games, like 3 straight years, something like that, and he got fired. And since then, they haven't been good, right? And so, you have to be careful, man, when you make coaching moves, because I've always said firing somebody is the easy part, right? Firing somebody is always the easy part, right? Because there's nothing needed, right? So, hey, man, we want you gone, but now the real work starts, right? In terms of, okay, who are we going to hire? Who's he going to bring with him? Right? Can he recruit? Can't you, right? There's so many things that go into at least a good coaching hire, right? And so, when you look at some of these moves that people make, it leaves you kind of scratching your head a little bit. And I think a lot of times schools overplay their hand. And I think that was a classic example, at Florida, right? I think you were good with Dan Mullen. Obviously, you weren't championship caliber, but you were good with Dan Mullen, right? I mean, you were recruiting well with Dan Mullen. You were winning games with Dan Mullen, and so, right, was he ever necessarily better than Georgia or anything like that? No, right? But if you're, how many people are, right? How many programs are, right? And so I don't know if you got caught up in that, or what goes on, who knows what goes on behind the scenes. But this is what happens sometimes when you overplay your hand as a school, right? You fire somebody who you shouldn't fire, and then on top you compound it by making the wrong hire, right? And I think it's Jeremy Foley, if I'm not mistaken, is the AD at Florida. A guy who who's been really successful there. Great athletic director, built really good, successful teams kind of across the board, aside from football, right? He's made successful hires, and they've been really good in basketball and in baseball and in softball and in soccer and the Olympic sports and the whole deal. So a guy who and a school and a program, right, athletic department, I should say, that traditionally has made really good moves. I think you're going to be able to look back on this one and say that Billy was not a good hire.
From a small school too.
Yeah, Louisiana. Wasn't he in Louisiana?
Yeah, Louisiana.
Yeah, and so again, listen, people have made the jump, right? But that's a hard jump to make, right? And the resources they have there, right? They nicknamed his coaching staff. Oh, exactly. They nicknamed his coaching staff Billy's Army, right? Because he had like 1 million analysts and GAs and everything like that. So, but it hasn't amounted to anything, right? And then they did him no favors by 2 straight years, giving them the toughest schedule, in the country, right? And when you're looking at what they have coming up, I mean, it's hard to imagine he makes it.
When's the next time we see Florida win a game? I mean, they go to Miami this week, then they play Texas at home, then they got Texas in College Station. I mean,
man,
this team could have 1 win by the time they get to Starkville.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, they play Mississippi State in Gainesville, and then you got to go play Jacksonville. You play UGA, then you play Kentucky, who's always a tough, scrappy team. I mean, when's the next time we see this? And Billy Napier was getting those comments for a while, and DJ Lagway and the boys kind of saved his job. But is he? I know we're harping on him, but is he a big time SEC coach? I don't know. I mean, I don't see it. And Florida's been chasing the Urban Meyer days for a long time. And, that was the Dan Mullen wasn't Urban Meyer guy. He was on that staff that he
is the OC.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know that apparently some of the players were uncomfortable with Dan Mullen. Like his wife was very involved, not involved with like some dumb story. She liked to give the players a hug before they got off the bus. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. I'm like, you're a Southern woman, type of thing. That's just how Southern women are. They're very loving,
It's the type, dude. It's the type of thing. Listen, man, Mark Richt's wife, I remember she'd be on the sideline, pouring players, water and Gatorade and stuff like that. And, college is different, man. You're not ever going to see that type of involvement in the NFL, but you see it in college from time to time, right? I mean, it's a type of thing that happens. Now, again, I wasn't there. I don't know anybody who was. Who knows? Well, but it's a type of thing that people start, little minor things like that become issues when there's, some stuff going on, behind the scenes, right, and everything. And so stuff gets overblown. Yeah, it gets overblown and everything. And so that at the end of the day isn't what got him fired. That at the end of the day isn't what cost him his job. It's people overplayed their hand, right? He's not doing what Urban Meyer did and the whole deal. And, and ultimately, right, we can do better. We're Florida, and you overplay your hand.
I don't know. Urban Meyer's record as a football coach, but look at his record otherwise for his team at University of Florida. Didn't really pan out that well, but
not exemplary. Not the example that you want to set for future, teams.
Not the example you want to set for your
off the field for sure. And even off the field, not in the locker room. Now on the field, obviously, they were stellar, right? They won 2 titles in the whole deal, but not I mean, obviously, the rap sheet when you're talking about as a roster, and you listen to the stories and the whole deal. I mean, some stuff that is the stuff of movies and everything, and again, man, it's obviously we won't get into it too much, but yeah, the type of stuff where you as the saying goes, right, you can't have a locker room full of choir boys, but at the same time, it can't be a locker room full of convicts, right? I mean, it's a couple.
Yeah, we all know. Everybody's seen the 30 for 30 on the gate. It was unbelievable. What they did on the field was unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Where do we see LSU right now? The class? Do you see LSU the class of the SEC right now?
That's a good question. I think you can't discount Georgia. That was a big win they had at Tennessee, right? Tough place to play and everything. But I think right now, if you're looking at resume, right, LSU went to Clemson and won the game, right? They beat Florida at home, right? Just Florida, I get it. They're 1-2 with Florida. Florida's still they're a really talented team. I would have to say right now, LSU would be the favorite. But then, there again, right? I mean, you can't discount. I don't think you can sleep on Texas A&M. I don't think you can sleep on Georgia. Ole Miss. The offense looks pretty good with his kid Austin Simmons, and again, there's obviously a lot of talent, a lot of good coaching in the SEC. But yeah, right now, if you made me pick one team in the SEC, I'd have to go with LSU.
Yeah, quickly. I know. I mean, it was not an entertaining game. You probably enjoyed it a lot, but for me, not being a fan of either's team, I'm like, well, I'm not really tuning in this game. But your Miami Hurricanes won soundly 49-12. Not much to write home for that game. The boys in Tampa kind of got taken back down to earth on that game.
It obviously clearly I was watching. Did not expect that type of.
I was expecting you not to watch the game. I was like, yeah, Q's not going to be watching this game.
Yeah, he's probably going to be watching NASCAR or something. Maybe he won't be watching the game.
The Real Housewives of Atlanta are on. Q's watching.
Yes, that. Yeah, 100%. But I went ahead and just recorded that, and I'll get to it at a later date. But I was definitely watching. I was definitely impressed with the performance. USF had just beat Florida. Byron Brown was getting all the headlines. South Florida was talking some trash. It was a sound beating. You're right. They looked good. Miami did, right. Didn't ever really look like they were in trouble. The defensive line, was stellar. Carson Beck looked really good, threw a couple picks, right? One wasn't his fault. The other one, definitely just a bad choice to throw the ball up when he did. But, again, very, very obvious gap in talent, right? And
Byron
very,
Brown
very sound win.
Game. 20 for 36, 274, but you get nothing from the rushing attack. Alvin Isaac, 20 yards on the ground, is your leading rusher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Byron Brown was your leading rusher coming into the game. Yeah, and I think he was held to was he held to like 4 yards or something like that on the ground?
13 for 2.
There you go. Right. So do the math. What that equals
But
out
that's
to
what
per carry.
that's what we talked about here last week. Is they're going to make him a passer, and yeah, I mean he goes for 274, but that's his best part of his game is his leg.
And a lot of that was end of the game, right? I mean, they're down, they're throwing the ball, so I think those numbers are skewed a little bit. But when it mattered, he did nothing. That's what it amounts to. So,
but I mean, we got some. I mean, Miami's moving up. Miami's 4 now, which rightfully so. You beat Notre Dame. I mean, rightfully so. You should move them up for getting a top 25 win, and they're still top 25, so it still looks really good.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, we got. I mean, not as many good games, but we say that we've said that before, and it turns out to be wrong. But I mean, right off the bat, we got at 12 a.m. big noon kickoff, Texas Tech, Utah, in the Big 12. I know both of us are high on both teams. I know you were on Texas Tech was one of your picks, I think, for Dallas. I really like Utah right off the bat. Utah's just, in my opinion, a sound team. Kyle Whittingham does a phenomenal job with that team. And Texas Tech is up and coming. It's not a team you can't really sleep on. Texas Tech, what they're doing there in Lubbock.
Yeah, the billion-dollar team out there in Lubbock, right?
It is. Yeah,
they were one of the teams.
And it is in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
so I mean, they do play very good at home.
10 o'clock local kick.
12 Eastern, 11
12 Eastern, 10 a.m. local.
Yeah. That will be the U.S. Did you see USC's playing like a 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time 2 weeks in a row? Crazy. And that's a game I'm really jacked up for too. But go into this game before I jump ahead, get too excited.
Yeah, that Texas Tech game is interesting, man. And obviously two very different mentalities, right? Utah, the way they build, right? They recruit very, they're never a top 20, top 25, recruiting class, right? Kyle Whittingham just, he lands some of these Polynesian guys and, these guys that aren't highly ranked and anything like that, brings them in. They always develop guys on the line of scrimmage, right? They're on the O-line. They're always good right now, especially this year, right? They got 2 potential top 10 draft picks at tackle. They're always good on the D-line, right? They play good defense. They run the ball. They finally got rid of, was it Cam Rising, who had been, who was like at least 38 years old.
He's an offensive coordinator at his high school in San Diego, I think.
Good for him, man. Yeah, good for him. But yeah, I think he retired due to injury or concussions or something like that. The guy had been around forever.
It was like 7-8 years.
Yeah, but then you replace him with a guy like Devin Dampier, and a guy who at New Mexico was a stud. Guy ran for over 1,000 yards, threw for I think over 2,500 yards or something like that. And so, man, they he's protected by a really good offensive line. And so, then you kind of
a clean sheet too.
Yeah,
7 touchdowns.
Yeah, and then you compare that, right? The kind of grassroots high school, development style of Utah. And now they're playing against Texas Tech, who is obviously the complete and total opposite, in terms of the way you build a roster. Those guys are all mercenaries, right? They're all transfer portal guys, essentially, a team that was bought and paid for by NIL money. And so it's going to be really interesting to me. Texas Tech's been lighting it up, but they haven't played anybody. Right, but now they're on the road, right, and we're gonna see if they're for real, right? If they go up to
Utah hasn't played anybody either.
Yeah, they haven't exactly.
They
right.
played UCLA. Is that playing someone?
That's playing nobody, 100%.
But we'll now see. it's we come in, we got this big top 25 matchup, 16 Utah, 17 Texas Tech coming in. We were like, the class of the Big 12. The Big 12 will be very competitive. But if we're looking at it, it's going to be Iowa State, it's going to be Kansas State, it's going to be Arizona State, maybe Utah. But now Kansas State is won one game. So the Big 12 is even more wide open there before because, Kansas State already has lost one Big 12 game. The only win they have on the schedule is from University of North Dakota, who's not even the best team in the state. So I mean, it's
which
definitely.
is rare.
What's up?
Or University of North Dakota. Yeah, they're not the best team.
Not the best team in the state, no.
Right.
Which is by leaps and bounds.
The Bison.
Bison. Which is actually, did you see something? Actually, all like, there's no buffalo in America. They're actually all bison.
Really?
The buffalo are in like Asia.
Did not know that. What is it? The differentiator? One hump versus two hump? Like what's the difference?
I think it's all I know is the bison, like the one you see have like the horns like this, the buffalo. Like I go back to Tropic Thunder, which I love that movie, and they put Jack Black on the back of a buffalo, a water buffalo. That's an actual buffalo.
Okay.
And the one here are bison. Bison. Bison.
Yeah, I'd have to. That's one of those that have to look because I don't know. You know.
But I do know there is something about the hump. So you are right about that too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the humps had something to do with it. I don't know if it's the one hump versus two hump. I don't know, something like that. So.
Either way, they'll both kill you. Don't get in the way.
Yeah, people who keep taking selfies with buffaloes at like Yellowstone, and you'll simply like, can you stop doing that? You're gonna die. Like, stop.
You get going, those things will trample you and just.
Yeah, I don't understand why people think that they can do that and they're not going to pay the price. That's just so dumb to me, you know.
But I mean, moving into the SEC, we got Auburn going to Norman, 22 Auburn playing number 11 Oklahoma at 3:30 Eastern. What is Oklahoma? Central Time? Mountain Time?
Oklahoma, I believe is Central Time, yeah. Because I think that game gets kicked off at 11 a.m. I think I heard local time, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's a 3:30 start, so it'd be 2:30.
Oh, is it? Okay, my bad. For some reason I thought it was a 12 o'clock game.
I mean, but Auburn's finally back in the top 25. We got, Oklahoma beat Michigan pretty nice by 11 points. Had an easy win last week versus Temple, 42-3. And I mean, Jackson Arnold's looking good and getting some NFL buzz. Yeah. I mean, 71 for 105, 944 yards, 5-3 interception ratio.
Yeah, he looked terrible. He looked terrible at Oklahoma last year. He needed the change of scenery. The guy was a 5-star, recruit. Super huge recruit when he landed.
Did I say Jackson Arnold? John Mateer. Excuse me, Jackson. Jackson Arnold's at Auburn, so I guess I was right in there. I was trying to talk about Mateer, but I brought up Arnold.
Yeah, I was gonna say you mentioned Arnold, so yeah, obviously a guy that never lived up to the billing at Oklahoma. 100%. Super highly recruited kid, and obviously they replaced him with John Mateer, who was a number, depending on what side.
I was saying. I don't think Arnold's getting the same, but Mateer's getting some serious NFL looks now.
Yeah. Yeah, on some sites he's the Heisman favorite and all that. Obviously, the guy's been balling, right? I mean, he's looked really good. He came over to Oklahoma with his OC right from Washington State, and so man, they look good, man. The offense looks really good, very different than last year. When they were absolutely terrible. But they look good, man.
They're just such a bad team to watch.
Yeah, it was so bad. But not only they're good on offense.
Auburn stretch, you go to Oklahoma, then you go to College Station, then you got Georgia, then you got Missouri, then you got Arkansas, who just had a big win last week too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've got they lost 41-35 to Ole Miss. So I mean that's, but I mean that stretch. Is this Hugh Freeze? You think Hugh Freeze is this his last ride?
Listen, I would when you say last ride, the way I would classify it as last ride in terms of like a Power 4 job. It is the way I would classify it because I think he was at Ole Miss. Obviously, it was a disaster, right? In terms of the cheating scandal, right? Paying players and the whole deal, right? Never lived up to to the billing, right? He was really good at was it Arkansas State, if I'm not mistaken, he was really good at. Hugh Freeze was?
You could be right, yeah.
It was Arkansas State, right? And then, with huge expectations at Ole Miss and everything, they were good, right? They were never great. And then obviously then, the whole cheating, the paying player scandal, right? Went to Liberty, was really good, again. And now at Auburn, right, replaces a guy named Brian Harsin, who everybody, hated that hire when they brought him in from Boise State. It was that was a disaster.
That's also when you go, that's not one of their guys. He's not an SEC guy either.
Yeah, right. If you bring him in from anywhere, right, but you brought him in from Boise State, and so again, that was never well received, and obviously it showed. He was not good at Auburn. So if you're Hugh Freeze, obviously he set a low bar for you to come in and replace and have to do better than but. You're still waiting to see what this is going to turn into, right? A team in Auburn who, I think sometimes they probably overrate their place in the SEC, if we're being totally honest. But obviously a team that is, that tends to recruit pretty well. Obviously, NIL seems to be in a pretty healthy place there. They've got resources, right? They're in a good recruiting area. And so, you expect them to be, really good, and they just really haven't been, right? But they went out and attacked the portal. They were aggressive in the portal with Jackson Arnold, and they brought in Singleton from Georgia Tech at receiver. And, it's a talented team. Now we just have to see if they're able to put it together and make any noise in the SEC this year.
That should be a solid game. We got Nebraska, Michigan. Nebraska comes in 3-0. Matt Rule's got them cooking. I can't remember the stat. Dylan Raiola, 829, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't got anything to say. I just think it'll be a good game to watch. I think maybe Nebraska's.
Yeah, I think it's mildly interesting. What I will say, this is around the time that Matt Rule's teams kind of start to go this way, right? The arrow starts to point up. For Matt Rule's teams, right? This is around the time, right? If you look at his history and where he's been, Temple, right? This is around the time that they start to make that move, right? He becomes attractive to other, Power 5 teams, I guess at the time, right? Goes to Baylor, same thing, right? This is around the time where Baylor kind of starts to make the turn, right? Goes to Carolina, obviously the Panthers. Not really a successful stint there.
No coaches has lasted there.
Yeah, exactly. That's a terrible organization. They got a terrible owner. Dave Tepper is a disaster as an owner, in my opinion, right? Really good businessman, way too involved as an owner. Needs to let football people make football decisions. But, again, another topic for another time. Obviously not successful there, but a guy who, I think you make that move to the NFL because – that's a move that again, there's only 32 positions. When you're talking about NFL head coaches, you get that opportunity, which is a rarity, right? You take that, you see what you're able to do with it, and if successful, you can always come back to college where there's 131, I think, FBS programs, and so again, comes back, he's in his comfort zone in college. And now he's got Nebraska looking, pretty good. I don't think, obviously, they haven't played a super impressive schedule, but Dylan Raiola is looking pretty good so far. And again, this is around the time where a team, that teams that he coaches, programs that he's a part of, tend to start kind of looking, like they're going to be, really the team. I saw a lot of people picking them as a dark horse college football playoff team, and so we'll see what they got for Michigan. I wouldn't be shocked to see them beat Michigan.
I didn't say play. I said dark horse Big Ten team for sure.
But what I'm saying is I've heard I saw some people. Listen, now I don't agree with it. I'm not one of those people. What I'm saying is I heard prominent people around the country pick them as, I think Josh Pate, if I'm not mistaken, pick them as one of his college football playoff teams. But of course, he had Alabama as his national title team. So, take that with a grain of salt. But, again, I saw a lot of people, man, they were a very popular dark horse college football playoff team on a lot of websites.
Hey, good
not for me.
No,
Not
no,
for
no.
me.
I
I'm
got
just
you.
saying.
Not from you. I knew you. Yeah, but I mean, hey, if that happened, Nebraska is definitely, I think, is a blue blood football program, and it is good when Nebraska's good. And you obviously know you weren't around for some of those games, but some of those Miami, Nebraska games when you had Tom Osborne there,
Oh yeah,
it was great college football. And and same for me. Most of them I wasn't live, but it's good for college football. And
I was
Lincoln,
around now, and I was around. I may have been too young to really, process those games and everything. But remember Miami's first title, came against Nebraska, right? And so you look at it moving forward, and then you get into what they were in the '90s, with Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips, the black shirts on defense and everything. Obviously, I don't ever think those days are going to come around again. But if you were a college football fan, in the '90s, you definitely remember those teams, man, because they were really, really good
I
teams.
still remember to this day, Oklahoma, Nebraska reverse to their backup quarterback hitting Eric Crouch in the end zone for a touchdown. Who Eric Crouch never even played in the NFL and won the Heisman. And
He did win a Heisman. Yeah.
I mean, but staying in the Big Ten, we got a great matchup. We got 19 Indiana, who was a darling last year to make the college football playoffs at 3-0, coming in to play or face number 9 Illinois. Illinois is cooking. I mean, quarterback Luke Altmaier could be the best quarterback in college, one of the best quarterbacks in college football. No one's talking about. And what Brett Bielema's doing there in Champaign, he's got this team cooking on all cylinders. That you don't. I mean, people don't disrespect Nebraska. Not enough people are talking about this Illinois team.
I think it's easy for that to be the case, man. Right? I think when you're looking at you're looking at a team like Illinois, who traditionally is okay at best, right? I mean, they put together a good team every now and again. But I think if you're in the Big Ten, you better start paying attention to them, right? I think they're a team, that they're good, right? Luke Altmaier's a good quarterback, man. They play good defense. They went to Duke the other day. I definitely didn't expect them to. They beat the brakes off Duke, especially late, in the second half. They just kind of took control of that game and just ran away with it. At Duke, right? Clearly not, the toughest place to play, right, in Durham, but definitely an impressive win in the way they won the game and the way they controlled the game. But I think we'll see what they're made of, right? Let's see what both teams are made of, right? Indiana, with the transfer from Cal.
Was it Fernando
Mendoza,
who's looking really good? He's got 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, 708. Granted, if you look at the teams they play, Old Dominion,
they have not played,
Kennesaw State, Indiana State. Old Dominion did beat Virginia Tech. If that says anything, I don't know if it says much anymore. But they did have a Power 4 conference win.
No, Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza is a guy who was born and raised in Miami, right? Didn't have any real big offers. Went to Cal. He was committed to Yale, right? And Cal came in and offered, kind of last minute. He flipped the Cal and went to Cal, made himself a really good quarterback. Got paid in the portal and went to Indiana. He looks good, man. A lot of people are saying he's a potential first round NFL draft pick. A guy who can throw it, he can run with it, and operates a high powered offense in Indiana, man. So I think. That's low key probably my could be my second favorite game of the weekend right there, which is Indiana, Illinois.
And now you like it. Illinois, Brett Bielema has been slowly building things up, and it's a classic Big Ten team. Have a good running game. Now you got Luke Altmaier, who definitely changes things because he's a solid quarterback, but a solid running game, very good defense. Kind of fits the mold of Brett Bielema because that's a tough guy. Besides that probably I would agree with you. One of the better games on the slate for Saturday. Miami, Florida should have. Going into the season, I'm like, oh, this could be a good game. Florida could have a good record by this time. Could maybe have one loss because I was higher on LSU. but I didn't expect them to come in at 1-2. That could have been a high-profile game, especially a nice in-state rivalry game. Not the level of the Florida State, obviously, but it's still in-state. I mean, but that's about it. I mean, is there is there any team right now, I think, surprising you that like a top 25 team that you're surprised at is playing good football right now?
Top 25 team that surprised me, like in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Like we'll stay away from the negatives right now.
Yeah. Florida State.
Like you didn't really, you did not see this coming.
Yeah, Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I did not expect the track record with Tommy Castellanos at Boston College. I didn't see that happening. At Boston College, he's put some good games together, but it always seems to fall off.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I wasn't. Clearly as somebody who never roots for Florida State, I wasn't naive to think that they were going to be better, obviously, than last year. But at the same time, better was being competent. Better was having a pulse. Better was being, somewhat, respectable, right? I mean, that would have been better than last year, right? If they came out this year and won, which clearly they're gonna win more than that, right? I mean, if they would have come out this year and won 7 games, it would have been a successful season based on what you saw last year, right? But I don't think anybody ever had, Florida State after 3 games being a top 10 team, right? So I think if you're looking, I mean, I had questions, all over the place in terms of 2 games, right? Because they had a bye week already.
They had a bye week.
Yeah, I mean, so but there again, right? When you're looking at them having beaten Alabama and the way they beat Alabama, I didn't have that, right? I figured Alabama was going to go to Tallahassee and beat the brakes off them, and so you're looking at what they've looked like so far, and if if you're making me choose a surprise, I mean, I don't think there's any more surprising team at this point in the country really than Florida State.
I mean, you got an easy game this week, then you got to go to Charlottesville. Then you get the big one of on the 14th, Miami travels to Tallahassee to play Florida State. I think I'm surprised USC's looking really good right now. And yep. Now I think that's another team in the Big Ten that just adds to a layer of the Big Ten is deep. SC's looking good, 3-4 right now. Top 20, just got in the top 25. Obviously, you had a lot of controversy with the quarterback last year and a new quarterback coming in this year I'm not in. I mean, was it? I think it's Jaden Maeva.
Yeah, Jaden Maeva was it was a quarterback at UNLV.
Yeah, from he's got. I mean, they haven't played much, but I mean, 900. Well, 989 to 989, 6 to no interceptions. I mean, I'm looking forward to. I mean, you got Michigan State this week at home. Then the week after, you got USC traveling to Champaign to play Illinois.
That would be interesting. Yeah, Jordan Maeva, and let me correct myself. He had transferred to Georgia. Didn't really, he didn't do anything at Georgia last year, and then transferred to USC. Right, so you went UNLV, Georgia, USC.
But we'll see what USC is made of, because I mean, USC guys has to go play. They play Illinois, then they play Michigan, then they play Notre Dame, and then they play Nebraska. So I mean, you're gonna have to. We're gonna get to see, but I mean, with the transfer, losing your quarterback, having a lot of controversy at the quarterback position. Now, yes, you haven't beat anybody big. I guess Purdue's the best team you played, but I mean, I don't really know.
They are not good.
I don't know much about Purdue this year, but I know they're terrible last year.
And they're terrible again this year.
But I mean, I still want to see what Lincoln Riley does. I mean, he can coach some quarterbacks, but is he a good head coach? Who knows?
I think he's good. I feel like he's. I don't think the question is whether he's good or not, because I think he is good. I don't think he's as good as people want to make him out to be. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he's overrated in terms of putting him in the best coaches in college football. If you're looking at tiers, right? If you're going like tier 1, right? I think you're picking 4 or 5 coaches in tier 1. Lincoln Riley is not in the top tier of college football coaches. He's really good. He's a brilliant offensive mind, but he's not in the top tier. He's paid like he is, but he's not a top tier college football coach.
I don't know the love. This is a West Coast, the love affair that the media has with Oregon. I'm sorry, I'm not sold on Oregon this year. I saw Dante Moore a lot at UCLA. Yes, they got a lot better athletes, but I mean, they're number 6 right now. You played Montana State, Oklahoma State, who is a shell of what they used to, and Northwestern. I mean, they're 6.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's another
FSU 7. You get Texas, Illinois. I mean,
every year is kind of the same thing with Oregon, right? They're always really good, but when it counts the most, they just kind of miss the mark, right? That they're always talented, right? Dan Lanning can recruit his ass off. Obviously, he's got big time backing from Phil Knight and Nike, given that Oregon is obviously Phil Knight's, he's an alumnus of the school. They're obviously in Oregon and the whole deal. But they're a team that for all their facilities and for all their uniforms, they've never lived up to the billing. They've never won a title, or at least not in who knows if back in the day, but in modern times, right? They've been really good, right? They've won Pac-12s, they've won Rose Bowls, but they were, I think, weren't they the number 1 seed coming into the playoff last year?
Yeah, they were number 1.
And fell short again. So
my buddy bought two tickets to that game, and he was bringing like a date. First off, why are you bringing a date to a college football game? That's your first mistake. But I was like, whatever.
Especially a first date. Like I'd take my girl, but that wouldn't be a first date. Like, that's crazy.
I don't know if it was first date or second, but she bailed. He literally hit me up on New Year's. He's like, dude, I got a free ticket. I got a ticket to the Rose Bowl game. You want to go? Money was tight. I'm like, dude, I can't pay you for that. He's like, I'll just give it to you. I'm like, I'll let you know. My buddy and he gave him like half the money for it. I watched the game on TV. I'm like, thank God. I would have had to fight the traffic to get in, fight the traffic to get out, and then watch a terrible football game where I can just sit at home, have a few drinks, and watch them get their ass beat at home. I'm like, good call.
Yeah.
And nothing's gonna live up. I went to Utah. I went to the Georgia-Oklahoma game at the Rose Bowl. Nothing's living up to that. That's one of the best college football games.
Oh, dude, that was a crazy game. That was a Baker Mayfield. That was Baker Mayfield in that game, right? So
Baker's last game.
Tony Michelle. And
I got cussed out that game. So my sister went to OU. And at the end of the half, they squib kicked it. And Georgia got the ball at like the 35 or the 40, and they brought it down. Oklahoma's up like 14-3, 14-7, like 21. They're up like 14 points. Squib kicked it. Georgia takes it down for a late, first half field goal. I turn around, I'm like, that probably just lost you the game right there. You're like, oh, F you, I'm like, Oklahoma has all this momentum going. Now you're going to give Georgia a last second half field goal at the end of the half, and they get the ball back, and then they scored at the start of the second half. You just gave them a 10-point swing for some guy who, like, let's squib kick it. I'm like, just kick it in the freaking end zone. And Lincoln Riley that game, too, went away from Baker Mayfield. I'm like, dude, this guy just won the Heisman. I'm like, I get it. You want to run the ball, but, like, live and die with the guy who won who's the best player in college football. And that's where, I mean –
yeah, I remember that game clearly. That was an amazing game, back and forth, and the whole deal. Like, dude, that was a crazy, crazy game for sure. So,
Sonny Michel was nuts.
Yeah, he went crazy in that game.
not much in the NFL. Unbelievable.
First round pick of the Patriots. Definitely never lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
That was a 5-star. You played at down there in Florida, Plantation American Heritage. Was a 5-star recruit at Georgia. Was really good there in the whole deal.
Plantation's
First round pick.
way, right?
Say again.
Plantation is like Tampa area, right?
No. Plantation is Broward County.
Oh,
Plantation is Broward County. Yeah. Fort Lauderdale-ish.
Maybe I'm thinking of Plant City.
Now Plant City is Tampa.
That's Tampa.
Yeah. Plant City is right near Tampa. Plantation is in Broward County. Yeah. I played a lot of soccer in Plantation growing up.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But yeah, man. Anything else?
I think we hit it. Covered a lot of great stuff today. It's always easy talking college football for an hour and a half.
South Carolina. One last one, man. South Carolina at Missouri. Low key.
That's a good game too.
Low key a game. I haven't seen if Lenore Sellers is playing in that game. But if he is, that'll be a really interesting game.
Also projecting, I saw a mock draft today, and I don't even look at those. And Lenore Sellers going to the Jets.
Yeah, look, man. I watch a lot of college football. I love football. Even though I hate it. Right, very much a love-hate type of relationship. If you know, right? Follow me on X and YouTube. I don't know based on everything I've seen. I think with Lenore Sellers, man, you fall in love with the skill set, right? A guy who's big, who's fast, who's strong, the whole deal. I think in a class, in a draft class, in 26, with how deep the quarterback, class is going to be coming out. I mean, there's going to be a ton of quarterbacks taken in next year's draft. Again, I think based on what I've seen, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But I find it hard to believe that guy is based on performance. Is going to be a top 10 pick. Now, again, everything is about how you project to the next level, and you have to love the skill set. Like I mentioned, the kid is big, he's fast, he's strong. He's an impressive kid. In terms of the measurables and everything. I don't know. I don't know if NFL teams are going to look at him and like the way he projects to the NFL. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to see it to believe it.
I mean, the Jets could be a top 10 draft pick this year. I think it's a building year, but who's going to have a higher draft pick than us? That's the Miami Dolphins. 0-16. Take the
Bobby.
Every time we do it.
His views do not necessarily reflect my views. So just FYI.
Bobby's always like, yeah, they're taking a kicker. I'm like, that's it. They need a good place kicker in Miami, Bobby.
We shall see how the rest of the season goes.
Jets Dolphins are on Monday night. I told Bobby, you better have me on. It's a great Monday night game. They're playing in Tampa. I was looking at one point to go in the game. They're playing at the Bucs this week. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, thank God. I don't want to spend $120, $130 on the ticket, then have to drive to Tampa and park. I'm like, I'd rather just sit at home and watch Tyrod Taylor this week.
Oof. Good luck with that one, bro. Good luck with that one, man.
Hey, Aaron Glenn. Hey, I think this year is just going to be like this. 1 week's going to be good. The next week they look like ass.
You'd have a way better chance of having a good year if Fields concussed. Again, man, that's the give and the take. The give and the take, man, of a quarterback like Justin Fields, man, is you get some big time peaks and you get some valleys with a guy like Justin Fields, man. He's a guy who's talented, and again, right, kind of same type of deal, man. A guy who's a physically gifted dude. Throwing the ball, he's hot and cold, and then just like with any quarterback who depends on his legs, man, it's unfortunately It's what you have to contend with. It's what you have to contend with.
If you watched one play of Justin Fields and didn't watch him the rest of the year, and you saw him play against Pittsburgh, and you saw that touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, you think he'd probably be one of the best quarterbacks in football because it was in his lap like this. But then the next, then you see him, throwing a dud like this, fluttering in the wind. But it's going to be – I like on the Jets side, I like where they're going. I think they finally got a head coach who, takes accountability. Because, we got your coordinators. We got one of your coordinator with Robert Saleh. Maybe he's a great defensive guy. I don't think he was a head coach.
I never thought he was.
We got the worst out of the three because D'Amico's doing good things in Houston, and I know Miami got the other one, and they love Mike McDaniel. I hope they sign him to that lifetime contract. Just keep him there forever.
It might be in the works, man. With Greer as a GM, who knows? I mean, they might extend him. We'll see.
Yeah. I know they're driving out. I tune in to Bobby's show all the time just to kind of throw jabs, talk some smack, and they're always just angry. The best thing about Bobby last year, I'm doing game 1-2 World Series recap, and I'm hot. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm hot, so I'm kind of loud. Bobby is like, yeah, go on. I got the Dolphins show. That's fine. He forgets to turn his mic off for me on his other computer. So I'm loud, and then people are chiming in. I'm having my first time. I got 350 people, so it's my first big time show. So I'm jacked. They're like, "Hey, I can't hear you talk," because Bobby's screaming and yelling, and then you got Fitzstanza who's just negative all the time. It was I finally was like, "Hey, Bobby, can you turn your mic off?" He's like, "Oh shoot."
It's tough, man. It's tough if you're a Dolphins fan right now, man. That franchise is definitely not in a good place, man. Everybody's frustrated with Ross as an owner, with Greer as a GM, with McDaniel as a head coach, man. They're just not in a good place. This thing's not going to end well for them this year. If I was Ross, I would clean house. I'd get rid of everybody and just start from scratch. Bite the bullet for a few years, man. But you have to get some competent people in the building, and it seems like they're lacking confidence in that front office for sure.
Yeah. But we got week 5 of college football, week 4. I'm gonna kick it back to you, Q. This is always great jumping on talking college football with you. Can never complain when you get to talk some college football. But we kick it back to you to wrap us up.
Yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us tonight. If you like what you heard, do us a huge favor and follow us on all the social. Follow us on YouTube, College Blitz. You can also follow Russ and myself. Find us on our individual podcasts on YouTube. I Hate Football podcast for myself, and the On Deck podcast with Russ on YouTube. Find us on X/Twitter. Find us on all the FTSN and FTSN Extra channels. I'm coming on with my boy Adrian from the Rainy Day Pod tomorrow. I believe with Will also from 305 Sports Now. We're going to do a Florida-Miami preview show tomorrow at 8:30. So catch us on that one. And
AM?
Say again?
8:30 p.m.?
8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. Yeah, 8:30 p.m.
You waking up bright and early, get that hurricane spot going.
No. That's a big hell no. I'll be awake. I won't be pod ready at 8:30 a.m. But yeah, man, Rainy Day Pod tomorrow. My boy Adrian, my boy Will, at 8:30 p.m. And we'll be previewing the Florida-Miami game this upcoming Saturday in Week 4. And like I said, follow everybody on FTSN Extra. My boy Bobby does a great job. Everybody on his channels, some good people putting out some good content. So for my boy Russ, I am Q, and we will see you guys next week. Everybody take care and enjoy the college football weekend. Have a great night.